Have you ever wondered why some people just seem to respond differently than you think that they should, or act differently than how maybe you think that they should, or why people do different things the way that they do them, and don't they understand that this is the best way to do it? Do you ever feel like that you just want to say, like, just do it my way, I know the right way? Well, what if I said to you that there's this system within the Enneagram called stances. And this really helps us understand why people do what they do and how they show up in the world according to their stance. So we're going to talk today about 3 different stances, okay? The 1s, 2s, and 6s are in the compliance stance. This means that they go towards people, they look to see what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and how they want to respond, okay? You've got the 4s, 5s, and 9s, which are in the withdrawn stance, and this stance goes inside of themselves, and they try to process information, figure out how they want to respond. Then you have 3s, 7s, and 8s. When they are in the assertive stance, they stand independently from other people, and they decide how they want to show up all by themselves. Like, what is the most important thing for them? So when we talk about these stances, we're really talking about the way that we process information and we choose to give it to other people, okay? How we process information and we choose to show other people what we think about the information we're processing. So when we think about this in different circumstances and different situations, we want to really think about the ability for us to grow in awareness around this number that we're in, and also the people around us, okay? This is going to greatly affect the way that you function within your work environment, and also the way you function within your relationships. So if you are in that compliance stance, 1s, 2s, and 6s are compliant, and you look towards other people to figure out how you should show up, what is appropriate, what is acceptable, what is right, what is wrong, then you really want to understand this a little bit more about yourself, okay? So 1s, they show up, they're compliant, they want to know what are the rules, what is the right way to engage, how do I do this where I look good doing it, like people think that I'm respectable. 2s don't want to lose relationship, they don't want to lose connection, so they're really focused on how is this going to affect my relationships? How is this going to affect how they view me? How is this going to affect my position within the work environment? And 6s, they're a little bit different. They're like, okay, tell me the rules. Tell me why these are the rules. Tell me why it's important for me to show up this way. But they really want to be compliant, but they want to understand why. So they might even poke at the rules a little bit to try to figure out why they are the way that they are. If you are in the withdrawn stance, 4s, 5s, and 9s are in the withdrawn stance. They take information in and they process it by going away from people. So they really need time and some space to be able to process information, think of how they want to show up, what is happening inside of them, and they do this differently. So 4s, they are very in tune to their emotions. And so they might react emotionally in the moment. However, they might need to go inside of themselves to process what just happened and how they really feel about it and give themselves space to show up in that way. They also think through past experiences. So oftentimes a situation will trigger a past experience and they want to process, how did that go last time? Do I want to do that again? What does this look like for me to engage in this way? So that is a 4. A 5, they process information privately. They take in lots of information. They are a wealth of knowledge. They study things that they care about. They really like to know a lot about, or a little about a lot of things, okay? And so as they take information in, they're really, really great at being able to separate their emotions from the situation. So in the moment, you might not see any reaction at all as they are taking the information in and they want to go and process it privately and then decide what part of this do they want to address. Maybe none of it. Or maybe here's a little piece of this, or here's why I did what I did. And so they really need a lot of time and space to process how they feel best to show up. Now, the 9s, they are also withdrawn. They go inside of themselves to process information, to try to figure out what they're thinking about it. And they have a really, really hard time valuing their own voice and ideas. a lot of the times the 9 can get caught up in this like go along to get along, whatever keeps the peace. I don't really want to ruffle feathers because I don't really want to have to deal with the consequences of it. So they might actually just be quiet. But the push on that is knowing that your voice matters and that it's valuable in the situations. So as a 9, when you process information, be willing to bring it to the table and not just when it's asked for, but be willing to share your experiences with others. Now, last but not least, the assertive stance. 3, 7s, and 8s, they are within the assertive stance. They go out into the world, stand independently from other people. They go after what they want. They typically are driven and passionate. They have lots of ideas. They are strategic in how they do it. 3s are more organized and logistical in how they're going to do it. They have big ideas, but they also have a plan to get those big ideas done. They really care what other people think about them. So they will assert their authority if they know they can win. That's a big one. The 7 is people are like, they're adventurous and fun and all this. They are. However, 7s are planners. And so they are assertive in the way that they go into the world. They go after what they want. And I hear a lot of people say about 7s that what has been said about them over their life is that people didn't really worry about them. They just kind of, if they fell down, they dusted themselves off and kept going. My grandma said that about me, and it's been so interesting. A lot of my clients that are 7s will say similar things or even the same statements back at me. And I'm like, this is something about our personalities. We are resilient. Okay, we have the ability to go after what we want with passion. And so a lot of the times we bring people with us because we're enthusiastic and fun in the way that we approach the world. 8s are assertive in that they go after big picture thinking. So they see a big picture, they see the big idea, they want to go after it strategically. They like to delegate, they do not like to get caught in the weeds of it, and they don't tolerate incompetence very well. So get your stuff together and let's go is kind of what they feel like, but they are assertive. So they go after what they want with passion, and will they fail? They will fail. Will they fail? Probably not, because they'll figure out how to get themselves back up, put it together, and achieve. Different than a 3, where a 3 feels a lot of self-worth comes from achievement. 8s just feel power comes from achievement. And so that's the difference between those. But whether you are compliant, withdrawn, or assertive, there's a place for you. Okay. And there's no stance that's more important than the other stance. This just helps us really understand why we do what we do, how we take in information, and why people feel so differently than we do. So if you find yourself in a situation that there's an assertive person that you answer to or within your relationship and you can't quite get to where they want you to go fast enough, you might be able to say, you know what, I just need a little bit of time. I'm going to have to process that a little bit further. Ask for what you need and don't be afraid of it. And if you are an assertive type and you find yourself getting frustrated or annoyed by the slower processing of other people, take a deep breath and allow people to be who they are. Put a little bit of margin inside the processing part of this of the time frame in which things have to be processed. Put a little bit of margin so people can show up just how they need to and be who they authentically are. I hope that this has been helpful today. I'd love for you to follow me on socials at Enneagram with JB. Check out my website, Enneagram with JB, and ask me questions. Engage with me on social media. I love to help people uncover and discover the best version of themselves.